You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 69 and it is our Friday episode. My name is Clark from 5 Card Guys on Instagram, and with me as always is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards. And John can't make it to this episode, but he'll be at our next regular Tuesday one, so you won't miss him too much. All right, off the top of today's show, since we are now halfway through the 2022 MLB season, let's look back at the past few months, and I want to know which player or players have been a big disappointment so far for you, Hyung, and if that's changed your mind at all in terms of buying their sports cards. And on the flip side, which players have been a pleasant surprise so far, and you might go as far as picking up some of their cards. Let's start with the disappointment side first.
Oh man, this one's tough because I know like guys like Wander Franco, but we said it at the beginning. He's a little disappointing to start, but it's not that I don't believe in him. Obviously, he has high ceiling still, but I think to a lot of people he was a little disappointing.
For sure.
Bobby Witt Jr.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like guys like Bobby Witt Jr. I think was a little disappointing as well. Slow start. A lot of these guys like J-Rod all got off to a slow start, but luckily J-Rod picked it up. He kind of kept the excitement going out of that kind of class, because Torkelson fell off, and a lot of the rookies, the up-and-coming guys, were kind of, that little bit disappointing, I would say. They're young, so I'm not going to say they're totally a write-off, so...
Right. So what are you doing in terms of Wander Franco cards, Bobby Witt cards? You just kind of staying off them for now, or?
Yeah, like for me, they were high to begin with, like we said, coming into the season. So if they're not going to do crazy stuff like Tatis did in his first year when he was 21 years old, it's going to be a tough, sell, or I guess sustainability in terms of price point, right? So it's only going to go down, in my opinion. Guys like J-Rod, a little different, because if he kind of keeps up the pace and keeps up with his accolades and keeps on doing some special things that he's been doing, I think his prices can hold. But guys like Bobby Witt, Wander Franco, they're gonna have to really, I guess, put up some numbers in the next couple years for them to sustain those prices.
Yeah, true. I haven't checked Bobby Witt prices in a while, but or I haven't checked Bobby Witt prices recently, but I feel like they're still a little too high for.
Yeah, I think
for a rookie that's played half a season.
I think the hype was so high, that like the people aren't willing to just sell low, right? So there's that factor where he's 21 years old. Like last year, he was an A-ball, right? Mm-hmm. Or a year and a half ago. So to be, going to the big league, starting shortstop, premier position, and then all of a sudden, goes off to a very, very slow start. But then, picks it up a bit. It's very respectable numbers at the end of the day still, right? So I think he has a lot to learn. So it's just a learning curve. He's very young, right? These guys are so young that we forget. We expect them to do.
We do forget,
yeah. And guys like you look back at the second or third, fourth year stars like Vladdy, Juan Soto, Acuna, all those guys kind of were a little disappointing as well in terms of their hype, right? People expected them to, do MVP stuff every single at bat, and not that Vladdy and Soto are having a terrible year, but I think their prices got affected huge these past couple months as well.
Yeah, no, I concur. Like I actually went to the Jays Kansas City Royals game this past weekend.
Yeah,
and saw Bobby Witt play in person, and he looks fine. Like for a youngster, went 2 for 4 that game, and But yeah, I think for guys like Bobby Witt and like even Torkelson and the guys who had that hot prospect, hot rookie buzz going into the season, when they don't play up to their expectations, usually the best time to buy them is during the off season,
Right.
because then you start to see the prices go even further down.
For
right?
sure.
So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on Bobby Witt cards after the season's over. For me personally, I'm looking at guys like Bo Bichette, Luis Robert, guys I was really high on. If you go back to our previous episodes, I would talk about them a lot, and
Right.
I actually bought their rookie autographs, and I think in another episode I told you that I traded both of them for an Aaron Judge rookie auto, just because the expectation for those guys was like that they would take a next step up, right?
Right.
And and if they did that, then you would see some really solid price action. But the opposite happened. They're not the only ones. Like, batting's been kind of difficult, I guess, this season. Pitchers have been getting the upper hand so far. But yeah, as a result, I feel like, Bichette's what's he batting? 260, 265?
Right.
Luis Roberts batting.
He's actually doing decently right now.
Yeah,
he had a big game. Yeah.
He's batting over 300, but in terms of home run production, not as what we expected, right?
For sure.
So yeah, so those guys, and you see it reflected in the prices. It's gone down certainly since the beginning of the season.
Jeez, especially the base. The base stuff is incredible.
Crashed.
You can't give it away.
Yeah, that's true. And with Luis Robert, my prediction at the beginning of the season was like, he's my Shohei of this year. That was a dead wrong prediction.
Yeah, I think he will eventually get there. He's gonna show people his talent one day. But yeah, you're right. It had to have been this year for his card prices to be affected, right. And now it's like he's gonna have to prove a lot of people to sustain those overprinted Topps Chrome 2020, right? So.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, agreed. All right, on the flip side, how about any players that really, impressed you so far?
You know what? I'm sticking with guys that, like last year we talked about guys like Ohtani. It's like, can he sustain what he's doing? And he's proven. And not only has he proven that he could sustain it, I think we don't realize the impact he's having on the game of just, pure baseball fans. For instance, it was like a record breaking attendance in like Miami, because Miami draws they draw like 7,000 a game, but Ohtani's in town, they draw like pretty high for what they usually draw, like 17,000, right? So it's stuff like that where I'm realizing, man, the question was, is he kind of like a one and done deal? But right. I mean, you look at when he's in his groove, like especially when he's pitching, it's special, ridiculous. Man. Yeah, and
it's crazy.
And his hitting is not slowing down either. I mean, I'd like to obviously see him hit a little higher for average, in that 270, 280 range. But I think he's hitting 40 plus home runs a year and doing what he's doing on the mound.
Insane.
Honestly, it just, for me, I don't mind that investment in Ohtani because it's someone you could just literally enjoy watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just be a true fan of, and forget about prices. Just have a nice Ohtani in your collection,
right.
And ride or die with him.
You're absolutely right. And if Daryl is listening, our buddy Daryl from the sports card shows that we see him at, man, that trade, there was some doubt in my mind that he would be able to repeat what he did last season. And like you were saying, he's actually on my list too of guys that have impressed me. Shohei's number one, that he's able to sustain, the things that he did in the previous season. And yeah, you're right. Like when you see him hit home runs though, it's beautiful to watch. Like he launches them too. And you forget that he's also a pitcher.
It's just loud. Yeah, loud barrels.
Yeah. So definitely Shohei. And I think you mentioned this guy already too, like J-Rod, he's a rookie sensation.
So fun to watch.
Yeah. And, like you said, at the beginning of the season, he was slow to start. But even then, I think I saw a report where, his strikeouts were all like called strikes when they were actually balls. Like his
Right,
eye
right.
was still impeccable. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's really the umpire's fault that he was getting ringed up. But it just kind of he was able to adjust, and then we're seeing the fruits of his labor right now. But yeah, I'm totally impressed with Julio Rodriguez, and it's too late for me to get into his rookie cards right now. But I'm definitely wanting at least one Ohtani after I sold my Topps Chromato.
I think now is a decent time to buy, because I seen a couple of Ohtanis that went a little cheap.
Oh, yeah?
Where I'm like, I wish I snatched that
Okay.
up. Yeah, so you should eye some Ohtanis.
Yeah, I should definitely add a few on my watch list. All right, yeah, it's been kind of interesting to see the first half of the season play out, and we'll see what happens once the All-Star break's over. Let's move on to our discussion for this episode. And speaking of the All-Star break, we did have the Home Run Derby last night as of this recording, and spoiler alert, Juan Soto won the Derby this year with an impressive showing, narrowly defeating rookie sensation who we were just talking about, Julio Rodriguez, in the final round. Now, I thought I would just go over 5 of the more intriguing players that participated in the Home Run Derby, in my opinion. And I'll ask you, Hyung, how you feel about them going into the second half of the season, and if you're looking to buy, sell, or hold their cards. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right, let's begin with the Derby champ, Juan Soto. I feel like I know the answer to this already, but any concern with Soto? Like he is batting .250, which is low for him, playing for a last place team. And, some people would say that all the contract talks are a bit of a distraction.
He turned down 440 million or whatever it was,
insane.
and then he went into the Home Run Derby and won it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's as much as I can say. He's a buy. Like for me, like I said, if his prices dip, honestly, he's the same situation as Ohtani. These guys are generational talent. If you could get your hands on some, really low pop cards of theirs, because they don't have a lot of rookie cards. So, I mean, if one's floating there for a decent price, target that. And I think it's a long-term hold, to be honest. Yeah. So I'm a buy at a right price. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been eager to add a Soto to my collection, and I think I'm getting greedy. Like it's been coming down a little bit at a time, and I'm like, maybe it could go down a bit further. And I'm a little nervous it's gonna start going back. And like now with all the contract talk, like 440 million, him winning the Derby, I'm like, shoot, did I just lose my opportunity to get one at a decent price? Yeah, so we'll see. I still am all on board with Soto. Okay, how about Ronald Acuna? Looks like he's totally not himself yet since his return from his injury last season. About 60 games played with just 8 homers, 38 runs, 22 RBIs, and a .265 average. But he does have 20 stolen bases. So, Acuna.
He's a hold for me. I think I believe in his talent. One thing that does concern me is his his power numbers right now, obviously, right. But more importantly, his OPS for me, like his ability to get on and also drive the ball. And to me, it says a lot. He's a career, 900 to 1,000 OPS, hitter. So
okay.
if he's dropping into the 700, 800s, I'm just saying it's not a great sign. I would like to see it, him up above 900, but like I said, Acuna is generational talent too. So the knee injury does scare me a little. Just aware of that. Just saying, I had ACL issues my whole life, and you're not the same, right? So I mean, 20 bags is pretty impressive because he's leading the, major leagues, I think, or it might be just the NL. But I would like. He's a hold for me for sure. He's too good. He's way too good. He's like Tatis too. So
yeah, okay. You're kind of scaring me with the ACL talk. So
I'm just saying, ACL scare me.
Shoot, I might have to change my mind. I'm like, bye. especially with the 20 stolen bases. Like it's like, oh, he can run,
Yeah.
and I think his power will come back up in due time. And if you look at his price of his like Bowman Chrome autograph cards, they're finally going down. We talked about in a previous episode where even during his injury,
It
they've
went
been
up.
sustaining, and gone up, right?
Yeah.
But now they're finally coming down to levels where from 2-3 years ago. So there might be a good buying opportunity there. All right, Pete Alonso. Personally, I've been on this guy, then off, then back on. Now he plays for a stacked Mets team, 24 homers, 50 runs, 78 RBIs, halfway through the season. So I guess my question is it time to again give him a little more respect in the hobby?
For me, he's a sell. I've been sitting on how many base Chrome Alonsos, of how many I pulled from 2019. But they were like, you honestly couldn't give them away a year ago. So the fact that they're, reaching that $50 level, it's a positive sign. And for me, Pete Alonso is an incredible player. Like he's a fun player to watch on a great Mets team. And, he still has a lot of work to do, like in terms of, his accolades. He's reaching kind of like, upper 20s at this point, right? So, I mean, his trajectory is still pretty decent, but he's going to have to do that, a few more years for me to, say, I'm going to invest in him. So for me, it's like I've been waiting, to sell him for the longest time. And now I could actually, I think I had 35 base Topps Chrome PSA 10s, and couldn't give them away. So the fact that they are worth something and I'm in profit now, it's just great news. He's a sell.
Fair enough. I guess it depends what kind of card you have of Alonso. Like if you had a Topps Chrome Auto or a Bowman Chrome Auto,
Yeah, right. For sure.
Those are holds, right? For me, at least. Because, like for me, a player that's done it before and he's kind of doing it again, like I have more confidence in that player. So I feel like Alonso kind of is in that boat now. And, the Mets have revamped. It looks like they're going to go to the World Series. Or they're like top 3, top 4 chances of getting into the World Series. So for me, if you have him, like if you have a higher end card of Alonso, he's definitely a hold and just see what happens.
Right.
All right, next, Jose Ramirez. Same question. Are collectors sleeping on this guy? I know our friend Scotty B Cards is a big fan of Jose Ramirez. He's batting .288, 19 homers, 53 runs, 75 RBIs, and also 13 stolen bases. Like he's a 5-tool player seemingly year after year,
100%.
season after season. So yeah, what do you think about Jose Ramirez?
Absolutely. I think he's a buy. Guys like him, Machado, they get no love, right? So these are guys that, as they enter kind of like their second half of their careers, I think Ramirez has like a mid-30 WAR, and he's still, under 30 years old. So it's like, and he doesn't seem like he's slowing down. But then you look at guys like Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, all these guys that get no love either. So if those guys would be perfect examples of they're either good buy opportunities or, they might not even, ever go up. But like for me, eventually, those guys are all potential Hall of Famers.
Right.
So for me, as long as they keep playing the way they're playing, I think they're a buy, and you keep on buying because, Ramirez kind of reminds you of Lindor, but like, I think he might end up having a better career, to be honest. Right.
Yeah,
so
true.
Yeah, for me, Ramirez is a buy.
Yeah. Like you kind of hit the nail on the head for me. And I go the other way. Like, I'm not sure if the hobby respect and love that he deserves is going to be there. Like he's kind of the equivalent for me from basketball, Damian Lillard. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like he's got the talent, he's got the numbers to show for it, yet collectors just aren't into him, right? So in the same way, I don't know what Jose Ramirez has to do. Does he have to leave Cleveland, to get more attention? But you can't deny his stats.
Yeah, and I think over time, that's what I'm saying, is there's going to be a point in time where everything's going to correct itself. They always do. And if he's worth something, and usually Hall of Famers, they end up, having a bump in pricing when their career's all said and done, right? So it could be all perspective of more long term, right?
Yeah, for sure. I can see that. All right, lastly, for this segment, we're both high on this guy, but are we still underestimating him? We've talked about him a couple times already. We might as well call this episode the Julio Rodriguez episode, aka J-Rod. He hit 81 homers in the Derby. That's crazy. Think about that, right?
Yeah, unbelievable.
But you know what? Like, honestly, more impressive really is that in his rookie season so far, he's had 275, 16 homers, 21 stolen bases, and 53 runs, 52 RBIs. So that's pretty damn impressive. J-Rod, what do you think about him?
He is, oh man, I was leaning actually to a sell.
Yeah.
But, I think he is a hold, to be honest. I just think he's just way too talented. And I look at his Bowman Chrome, his green auto, BGS 9.5, it sold for $5,100, and that's a pretty healthy sale in a healthy J-Rod market, right? So, but you compare it to the Sotos, though if you believe that Julio Rodriguez is that type of player, then it might be a hold, right? Yeah. Because it might still be early at this point, especially on the bigger cards.
Sure. Yeah, good point. I'm kind of looking at the macro lens a little bit with the economy where it's at. And, it's one of those few areas in the hobby where you can sell right now for a decent price, so I might take the opportunity now to sell, but then re-enter later.
Not a bad move. I mean? Yeah, not a bad move.
So yeah, I feel like there's a spike and he's well deserved, but yeah, if things stay sustained in the economy the way it is, everything just naturally goes down together.
And it's the type of players that get the love. You know what I mean? It's the electric players. Not saying that Goldie and Arenado, they're electric in their own ways. I have a lot of baseball love for them, but something about J-Rod, something about Acuna, something about Tatis, something about Soto, Vladdy, all these guys, when they do what they're capable of doing, it's just everybody's watching, right? So it's that is kind of like that sixth tool, I'll say, know.
Nice. Yeah, no, I was going to add that he's absolutely fun to watch, even in the Derby. You look at those players that you just mentioned, it seems like they're having the most fun, or they express it at least, what I mean, on TV. And, and they're all young. And it's they're going to be the face of baseball for years to come. So, and that says something, and that probably has an impact on their value too in the hobby, right?
Absolutely.
You see their faces equated to Major League Baseball for a long time. Yeah, for sure. All right. That's pretty much the 5 that I had. It'll be fun to see how the rest of the season plays out. And yeah, you know what? Hopefully we got Tatis coming back soon to add to the excitement.
Can't wait.
So, yeah, that'll be fun for us baseball collectors and fans. All right. Thanks again for all our listeners and subscribers. We appreciate you guys tuning in week after week. And we can't wait to have John back for our next regular Tuesday episode in a few days. We'll see you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.